Alright, so I finally got some parts in. Got a new radiator. It's gonna sit somewhere about there, and I'm gonna put the fans on the front and have it push air through. So that's how that's gonna work. And then I also got some new hydraulic hoses and fittings from PSC. The hoses I have in there right now, they do work, but I question the pressure rating on them. So these ones are built for this application, so they're for sure gonna work. So yeah, so I am gonna do some modifications to this radiator. Probably not in this video, but probably in the next video or two. I'm gonna get some aluminum welding done on this radiator, and which is perfect timing for this. So Art Captain, you guys know I've been using their welder. I love it. It's been awesome. So when I found out that they had this for sale, I reached out to them and they said, yeah, we'll send you one. So they sent me one of these out, and this is a aluminum spool gun attachment for that welder. So this will be super cool to have, and then I can do some aluminum welding, which we're going to have to do quite a bit of, because I got to do a little bit of modifications to this radiator, and also my brother's buggy needs a fan shroud built, so we're going to be putting that thing to use, but probably not in this video, because I still got to buy some pure argon and some aluminum wire. But hopefully in this video I'm going to drive this thing. So in order to make these lines work right, so the separation from the two hoses going to the ram is 9 inches from each side. And from the box, they're basically in the same spot. So I'm going to take half of 9, 4.5 inches, and I'm going to cut this hose 4.5 inches off center, so that the long hose is 9 inches longer than the short hose, and then they should be kind of the same length and run right with each other. So center of the hose is right here, and then 4.5 inches over right there is where I'm going to cut it. So this hose is going to be a total of 9 inches longer than this hose is. So I've seen a lot of ways to cut it. I'm just going to cut it with the angle grinder and a cutoff wheel. I think that's the best way to go about it. So I'm just going to cut it right there and start putting fittings on it. Alright, so hopefully you can see alright there. So I got the hose. This piece unthreads. So this threads onto this, normal threads right there. And then inside of here, there's reverse threads. So you actually reverse thread it onto this hose. Okay, so there it is. You can see in there, the hose is bottomed out in this fitting. So now, once you got this bottomed out onto there, you're going to take your electrical tape or some masking tape's probably better, just so you can see it better. The electrical tape's kind of the same color. But you're going to mark it right there, just so you can keep an eye on it and see if the hose is backing out of this fitting. You don't want that to happen. So, I'm going to put this fitting into a vise, and then you're going to take this and start threading it on. And as you're threading this in, you just want to make sure that you're not pushing the hose out. basically just want to go as tight as you can. It doesn't need to bottom out, but just like that. So some people say you bottom it out. I've heard a lot of people say you don't want it quite bottomed out, so I think that's pretty dang good. And you can take your tape off. You know that hose didn't go anywhere, and there you go. Alright, I forgot to film, but I got them in there. They run down to the pump right there, and they just loop back around there like that. I was gonna make them come out to the track bar, but it just wasn't working. I think this is gonna work a lot better, and they're out of the way. There's plenty of slack in them, so when the axle moves and everything, it's not gonna hit anything. So I think that's gonna work good. Next thing I'm going to do before I get onto the radiator is I'm going to get this winch mounted, so I know exactly how much room I have for the radiator and the fan shroud and everything right there. So I'm going to get to getting these holes built. I think what I'm going to do is, mark it where that hole is. It's about right here, and I think I'm going to do like a big U cut in it, or big oval, so I can put a piece of 1.5 inch tubing in there and then weld it up, so you can get to that bolt through it and it's not going to lose any of its structure. Alright, so I got my holes marked where I think they need to be. I think they're the right size. Well, hopefully. So I'm just going to take the plasma cutter and cut them out, and so I got those holes cut out, as you can see, and this fits right in like that, and now let's cut it off at that angle and weld it in. But before I do that, I'm just going to put the winch on, make sure I can get all the bolts in before I get that on there. So
I have to say, I'm quite excited. I've kind of missed it.
alright, so that fan shroud's not going to work. So I think I'm just going to hook the fans right to the radiator like this. It's not as efficient, but I think it's going to be alright. It is a pretty big radiator, and there's no AC anymore, so it has more flow, and there's no AC to cause extra heat. So I think it's going to be alright. If I have overheating problems later on, I can always add a fan shroud that covers, 80% of the radiator and just leave that bottom strip or something like that. But I think it's going to be fine. So now I'm going to move on to making some radiator mounts. Okay, so this is what I need to build for the lower radiator mounts. Basically the same exact thing I built for those ones for my old setup, because it's the same radiator, but just a little bit different, just so they fit in this space a little bit better. So this one's for the driver's side, this one's for the passenger side. So just need to get these built out of some plate steel. Probably gonna use that stuff over there, and then line it with some rubber And then I just got to build the uppers, which I'm going to just build off of this bar. And you can see them right there. Turned out pretty good. So I can just put some foam in there, or rubber. But I'm gonna get these fully welded on, and then go find my rubber, cut out some pieces of rubber, set the radiator in, and then I can actually hook up like the radiator hoses, transmission lines, all that kind of stuff, and then build the upper mounts. Alright, I got the radiator in there. I got some rubber in those bottom things, so it's all sitting in rubber down in there. And then I got radiator hoses hooked up, the tranny cooler lines are hooked up as well. I was gonna move this cap somewhere, but I think it'll be fine right here. I'll just cut a hole in the hood. I mean, it poked out of the hood before, and now it's actually further back and more protected. So I think it's gonna be all right right there, but it's getting pretty late, so I'm gonna come back and finish this up tomorrow, take it on a drive tomorrow as well. So it is tomorrow. All right, so I got my upper mounts drawn out onto a sheet of metal, so I just gotta cut these out, and they're just gonna be little C's that go on the top of the radiator with another piece of rubber, and then just tie into this bar. Which this bar will be removable with those welding tube bunks here, so I can just weld that onto there and it'll all be removable. So I'm gonna get those cut out, bent up, and get them fitted on here, and then I can start working on the bracket to hold it in place. Alright, so you can see, got them cut out, bent, and I got a piece of rubber in there. So I found this. I actually really like how it fits right there. I think that's gonna look really good. So I'm gonna make a couple of these out of this. I'm gonna clean this up first and then cut some out. And well, I only need to cut one more out. So I already got one. And then I'm just gonna weld them to the top like that, so it pulls the radiator away from that bar a little bit so it's not hitting, and I think that's gonna work good. I think it looks decent as well, so that's the plan. I'm gonna cut 2 of these out. Alright, so there it is. I didn't film it, but I got this welded up and I got the rubber back on there, so I'll just sit right there on the radiator, weld it to that bar, and radiator's mounted. So I'm gonna get those 2 welded in, then I can put some coolant in it. I got some coolant and power steering fluid, and then I also have to get the fans installed and wired in, and then I think I can go for a test drive finally. So probably set up a time lapse, get all that stuff done, and fire this thing up. Alright, so as you can see right there, the hood hits that, and then also over here it hits this, and it's gonna hit this. So just gonna have to cut kind of a hole like this back here where the radiator cap is now, and then also a little square hole right here, just so the this part of the radiator doesn't hit this. The middle of the radiator, there's plenty of clearance right there. It's just these end pieces. So just gonna have to make a little bit of a rectangle there and circle here, and then the hood will close. But as you can see, I got my fair lead on, so it's looking pretty good. It's definitely not the prettiest thing in the world, but that clears. That all clears now. So probably needs a new hood eventually, but might put like a bump or something. You know, maybe build a thing that kind of covers this stuff up. I'm not sure. Or just a dress-up plate like I did before that goes around the holes or something like that. I'm not too sure, but for now, that works. You can see it just pokes up a little bit. Same thing over here, just barely pokes out. So I think that's gonna be fine. So now I'm gonna get some coolant in it and some power steering in it, and then start it up. All right, there it is. It's running. Everything's working good. I got the power steering bled, coolant bled. I did kind of take it up the road a little ways. Feels super good. I don't want to drive it too much yet, because a lot of the bolts are loose. So I got to go through and tighten all those bolts down and everything, and it does need rear shocks still in it. I was going to take it over there and flex it out or something, but before I do that, it really needs rear shocks and all the limit straps and everything set up. So yeah, I think this thing looks so sweet. Yeah, there it is. It finally drives. Got a new radiator and all that kind of stuff in it. Still a couple things I need to finish up, but that's going to be next video. Unfortunately, that's all the time I have. I gotta go home and edit this video tonight for you guys, so I am super excited to go wheeling in this thing once again. It's been too long, but next video, get the stuff, get the rear shocks in, get a couple other things finished up, and maybe go wheel it a little bit. I don't know, but thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. I still do have hats and stickers for sale on my website, owenbarlow.com. It helps out a lot when you guys buy my merch, and it's really cool meeting you guys and seeing you guys wearing my hats and seeing my stickers around. It's one of the best feelings in the world. So yeah, stay tuned for the next one.